We are going to make a wreath today. I'm about to show you the ingredients. I'm going to go ahead and show you a finished wreath, and then we're going to make a second one to match the first one that I'm about to show you. But this is where we're starting. These are our ingredients. This is the base wreath I'm starting with. There's nothing wrong with using something as simple as that, but I want to embellish it and make it look like a really nice designer piece and not like a flat piece, if you will. So I've started with this wreath. It comes just like that. My number one encouragement to people that like to make things is do not be afraid to cut your stems. And in fact, everything here is going to be cut, because there's no way to use the length. And if you start using the fullness of a whole piece, for instance, this Chinese lantern is in a little bundle. You would never use that whole bundle just like that. We're going to break all this up. This hydrangea bush, we're going to cut this up. But I'm going to show you, this will be the finished wreath. Now, I am Benny Jackson here at Stems in Lubbock, Texas. For those that may not know, or for those who care. So we're going to take this hydrangea bush. I'm going to cut the blooms because that's all I need on this one. So I'm just randomly cutting them, allowing just enough stem left that I'll be able to insert into the wreath. So for me today, that's no longer of use. Now I'm going to insert these closer to the end of this, and I'm actually going to start with this branchy piece right here. And again, I'm going to cut it not sure you can see my glue pan, but I use a glue pan. Just has hot glue in it. It's easier for me than picking up a glue gun every time I need it. I just dip into it. So again, I'm cutting these branches so that I have single ones. And I try to go ahead and do all of that. So now they're just all ready. And I have a wooden spoon in there so I can just slather it on there. The other key, this wreath, it's a circle. So I just want to follow the circle all the way around. I don't want to start putting things the opposite direction of the way this, quote, grows. I want to follow the circle. Sometimes it's hard for me to describe what I'm doing, so I hope that makes sense to you. I don't spend a lot of time concerning myself of placement, because overall it's going to end up just being symmetrical, if you will. And because I already know that, I'm not trying to be asymmetrical with it. I just try to place things in a pretty even manner. But it's also okay if a couple of things get planted a little closer together than something else, because if you were planting, let's say, your flower bed, and then nature takes over, it's going to grow its own way, and it's not going to be, quote, perfect. But from the street, it's obviously going to look balanced because you planted them in a line or in a semicircle or in groupings. So I think sometimes people get locked down before they ever get started. And if you just don't worry so much about it and just keep going and understand that everything that you do in the creative world goes through an awkward stage. So don't judge it in its awkwardness. Just work on it till it's finished, and you'll be a lot happier with it. like a angel vine base, so it's a little tighter, if you will, than a traditional grapevine. So it allows these pieces that we're gluing in to stick in a little tighter and maybe hold better. But if you're using a grapevine wreath base, make sure your grapevine is a full one, a tight one. If it's real airy, it's gonna probably require some wiring versus gluing to make it stay in there well. This is where I'm coming back, and I'm just layering these in there. There'll be some closer to its counterpart than on other spaces, but that's okay. And we're trying to get a layered, symmetrical kind of look when it's all said and done. The other key to making a wreath is, you know, we don't want to see a lot of stem. That's why I'm cutting these stems fairly short, so that these things get planted down in that base a lot. I really like these Chinese lanterns. It really is a real plant. We don't see this too much in West Texas, but it really is a real plant. And again, I broke that bunch up. It was all wired together, and I'm just cutting these individual stems. And so the insertion, if I can get this untangled here, I will show you. The insertion is going to be that much stem. I want that to all be covered. I'm not trying to leave any of that hanging out, because we're trying to nestle this stem into the wreath. Well, my doors fall in there. A lot of people make wreaths laying them down on a table. It works better for me to work with them hanging up, so I just have these old doors with a hook in it that I use as my easel, if you will. And it's hinged, and sometimes I get it off balance and it wants to fall on me. And I do custom work. Probably what I like to do the best, actually. And so I invite you to call or come by. Tell me what you're looking for, and I would love to create something for you. If it's in a container, maybe you have a container that's your favorite for your dining table, or for that entry table, or your coffee table, whatever it might be. Bring your container in and I'll work with that. Okay, now I'm gonna go in there, and again, I've cut my stems pretty short on those little hydrangeas. I sometimes need to pull it apart to see where I'm inserting it, to make sure it's catching into the frame of that. Because these are going outside on some doors, and obviously if it's not glued in there well, it's going to come out. So these are in there tighter than anything else, which helps give this dimension when it's all finished. I call it highs and lows. So you've got to have some dimension, I think, to make it interesting. And by poking these or inserting these deep into the wreath, that's giving us our dimension. All right, so now I've got these little blueberry stems, and you see what that looks like. But we're going to get 3 pieces out of one branch. Again, don't be afraid to cut your stems, because you'll be a lot happier with your finished product when it's not so heavy and clumpy, which is what would happen if I left that berry stem whole. Everybody likes to do wreaths differently, and we all see things differently. I'm one that if I'm going to make a wreath, I pretty much want it full and I want it all the way around. I'm not a big fan of, for instance, on a grapevine wreath, I'm not a real big fan of letting that wreath show. I like it covered all the way around, but again, that's just personal preference. And sometimes for budget reasons, we have to leave some wreath showing. And sometimes it's just for design reasons. People like that. But I think specifically for fall, Christmas, you know, these winter designs, more is better because I like a fuller look in this fall winter season that's coming up. You know, when we hit spring and summer, we like things to be a little lighter and a little airier possibly. The colors themselves, these fall colors, you know, they say warmth and fullness and heavy. The color, these darker colors. Got one more. I always try to get all the tags off. The other thing you want to make sure of, if whatever glue you're using, if you're using a glue pen or a glue gun, is to get all those what I call spider webs, all those glue webs off of your final product. Because it just looks tacky and it looks amateurish, if you will, to see those glue strands. And then the last thing we're going to do, we're going to cut this little green, it's called foxtail, but we're cutting those. You see where it started? We're cutting it. All I need is the head, but now we're going to tape 2s and 3s together with just some floral tape. The other thing is, as you're putting things in a wreath like this, when it's this full, from the direction you're standing, you may think, well, I can't see that piece that well. And you fuss with it too much, trying to get it so you can see it. But I tell you, if you just get in there, start placing it, you're going to end up creating not only dimension, but you'll be creating interest, because you want to be able to see from different angles and from the side and from the top. And so even though you may not see it straight on, somebody walking up to your door, if this is on your front door, from the side will see something totally different, and it'll look finished from all sides. And so I don't worry that I can't see everything straight on, because it just creates a little more interest from all directions. So if you're watching us in this West Texas, Lubbock, Texas area, we are Stems by Benny Jackson. We're out here in Lubbock, Texas. We are in the Village Shopping Center, which is located at 82nd and Quaker. Okay, we've got 3 left, so these last 3 we'll just tape together. And then we're going to be finished. So this is where I go through and make sure all my little webs, my spider webs, my glue webs, if you will, are out of there. And there was our first one. There's our companion. So, if I can, these are already custom wreaths made for someone. But if I can make some for you, give me a call or come by the store. Again, we're at 82nd and Quaker right here in the Village Shopping Center. And you can also go to stemsbybennyjackson.com and you can subscribe, and we would ask you and love it if you would share this. We're going to try to do more tutorials, especially between now and Christmas, and do some Christmas tutorials as well. So we would love you to join, and again, follow us so you'll get reminders of when we're coming up. And if you've got friends that are do-it-yourselfers or crafty, or if you just like seeing some designs come together and want to be inspired, take a look at these videos that will be coming up. And I appreciate you watching. I will give you our phone number real quick. It's 806-778-2864. And we are closed on Mondays. So I'm just up here working this Monday to do things like this for you. So have a great day. Thanks for watching.